Welcome to my channel. My name is Dana and I discuss true crime here. You may have heard of this case or you might have not, but this is the beginning of the end. Let's get started. In this video, I will be discussing the murders of Katherine and Sheila Lyon. In this video, there are contents that may be considered disturbing, so please, viewer discretion is advised. Katherine Mary Lyon was born on March 29, 1964, while her sister, Sheila Mary Lyon, was born on March 30th, 1962. Their mother and father, John and Mary Lyon, also had other children. They had an older brother and a younger brother as well. They lived in Maryland and were last seen in Wheaton. The sisters headed to the mall around 11 a.m. and were asked to come back home around 4 p.m. They were spotted by their brother, who saw them eating at a pizza parlor earlier, and thought all was well. The mother was waiting for them and then found that they were not home at 4 p.m. Time dragged on from 4 to 5 to 6, and then the police were notified at 7 p.m. The Lyon family knew that something was wrong. The family notified the police around 7 p.m. Police immediately felt like the sisters were involuntarily taken and started a manhunt and even had search dogs and searched nearby bodies of water near Wheaton Plaza Mall, where the girls were last seen. The police did many interviews, and there was even a reward for any information leading to a conviction or an arrest for the kidnapping of the Lyon sisters on March 25, 1975. Many came forward claiming to know information, but police would rule out all of them as trying to gain fame or the reward money. The police went on and were initially suspicious of a man named Raymond Molesky, who fit the description of a man who was tape recording children claiming to work for a radio station at Wheaton Plaza Mall on March 25, 1975, and possibly was talking to the girls. However, they did not find enough evidence and the case soon became cold. The case became cold for almost 40 long years. In 2012, Sergeant Chris Hamrock, who was on the cold case squad for the Lyon sisters and was also in charge of the lead with Ray Molesky, who died in 2010, was putting away the 20-plus files of the case when he found something that would completely change the course of the cold case. He found a witness statement by, at the time in 1975, a young man named Lloyd Lee Welch Jr. in the statement. Lloyd says that he was at Wheaton Mall Plaza that day and saw the girls being led from the mall. Lloyd, in his witness statement, said that the man who took the girls walked with a limp, and the sergeant realized that Ray Molesky also walked with a pronounced limp, and maybe Lloyd Welch witnessed this. However, in the witness statement, the detectives wrote a note that Lloyd took a polygraph and lied. Police in 1975 told him that he should not give false information, as Lloyd admitted that that is what he did. And then police let Lloyd leave and did not do any follow-ups. Over the course of 2 years and over 16,000 hours of detective work and going on leads, the police and detectives talked over multiple interviews with Lloyd Lee Welch, who was at the time incarcerated in Delaware. Lloyd Welch would change his story multiple times before ending with something as close to the truth as possible. He first implicates Ray Molesky and also his cousin Teddy, who at the time was 11 years old, and then says that Teddy lured the girls away from Ray Molesky and that they took the girls in a car. The detectives at first believed this because Teddy was the right age and was probably maybe able to lure the girls as he was young just like they were. However, it was found that Teddy had nothing to do with the crimes or the murders or the disappearance of the Lyon sisters. Later on, he then changes his story, saying that it was actually his uncle, Dickie, or Richard Welch, who had approached him to get a few girls so that they could party with and have sex with them. Lloyd then says that he approached the two girls asking if they wanted to get high. The older sister said that they never got high before. The younger sister was adamant that they didn't do stuff like that. The older sister said, "Come on, it's just getting high." So Lloyd claimed that the two sisters came with him. In the front sat Uncle Dickie, the oldest sister, and, as he would claim, Teddy, although we know this is false, while in the back seat it was the younger sister and Lloyd. He then stated that he came by Uncle Dickie's house and spotted the two girls rocked naked and being raped through the basement door, and he felt frightened and ran. He claims that him and his girlfriend at the time left and traveled around the United States. Well, Lloyd then changed his story again, multiple times. He then stated it was Teddy that was the scapegoat and that it was actually Uncle Dickie and his father Lee Welch who were the masterminds and killers of the sisters. He said that Uncle Dickie had approached Lloyd to grab a few girls for him and Lee. Lloyd agrees and lures the two sisters. Lloyd then stated that he left and all he remembers was that they gave him a green duffel bag to take with him. At first, Lloyd mentioned that he traveled with his girlfriend Helen at the time with a green duffel bag, but then stated that the green duffel bag could have been the girls' remains. When asked how the girls were killed and where, Lloyd also was trying to change his story. He felt at first he stated that Uncle Dickie went under a bridge where he would go fishing and chop the girls up there since no one could see you, especially at night, and put their bodies in the duffel bag. Detective Dave Davis, went out to this bridge and quickly realized that this was not the place the girls were killed. There was not enough water for fishing, and the bridge and underneath was wide open and not secluded like Lloyd claimed. It just didn't make sense in the reality of things. Dave became the main detective who spoke with Lloyd throughout this time. Lloyd was also given a polygraph early on and failed, and it was determined he was being deceptive because at first he claims he only saw the girls get into the back of a car with a man near a corner store. And that didn't match up with witness accounts of the girls being at the mall. Dave was driving back from the bridge and recognized a house he'd seen in the files. It was Lee Welch's house, Lloyd's father's house. He knocked on the door and asked the woman living there if there was a basement, and she said there was, and the only way to go inside was from out back. As he went out back, he noticed that there was some truth to Lloyd's story about the basement he had described numerous times but was at his father's home, Lloyd's childhood home, and where he was living at the time in 1975, and not at Uncle Dickie's basement. Upon further investigation, the police sprayed the back room where Lloyd claimed the girls were being held in the basement to see if any blood would be detected. The back room lit up with numerous bloodstains and patterns, and it appeared as if someone or something had been slaughtered there. Detective Dave went and told Lloyd about this revelation. After some time, Lloyd said that one of the younger sisters tried to escape, so Uncle Dickie snapped her neck and then him and Lee chopped her up with an axe in the back room, and Lloyd witnessed this and even helped clean up some of the blood. Then, the sister was put in the green duffel bag, and Lloyd was instructed to go to Virginia where his cousin Henry would be waiting with a fire to put the duffel bag in. Upon hearing this, the police immediately contacted and went to Virginia and spoke with neighbors at the mountain where the Welch family had property, and the neighbors said that in 1975 the Welch family started a bonfire that lasted for days on end and smelled like burning flesh and hair and death. The police went to the place of the bonfire and found a few human remains, but due to the degradation of the bones, no DNA could be extracted. A wire that could have been from Sheila's glasses was found, and a burnt necklace that Katherine was possibly wearing was also found. Again, no DNA was able to be extracted. A grave site was also found at the top of the mountain, about 35 graves or so, and they also excavated that area but did not find the girls or anything they could extract DNA. This case is one of the rare cases where a trial and conviction would take place without any bodies or physical evidence of the victims. Lloyd was then asked what happened when he got to Virginia. He stated his cousin Henry and his sister were there and that Henry put the duffel bag in the fire and let it burn. Henry claims that he did not know what was in the bag. His sister, however, stated it smelled foul and like death and that Lloyd's clothes were bloody. Lloyd claimed that the younger sister was killed in the back room of the basement of his father's house and that Sheila was taken to Virginia alive, and that he last saw her alive, although there were no corroborating statements of this. Detectives believe that Sheila is buried somewhere in that mountain in Virginia called Taylor's Mountain. In 2015, Lloyd Lee Welch Jr. was indicted for 2 first-degree murder charges for his involvement in the Lyon sisters' disappearance and subsequent deaths directly linked to their disappearance. He was convicted and is currently serving a separate charge, and once upon completion of that time served, he will be serving the rest of his life in prison in Virginia. John and Mary Lyon thank detectives for their hard work in treating their daughters like their own. It must have been so difficult for that family, not knowing what happened to their daughters for all that time. Katherine and Sheila Lyon would have been 60 and 62 years old today if they had lived. It is horrific what they went through, and the torture their family went through for years not knowing what the fate was of their daughters. Although Lloyd was convicted and sentenced, other parties were likely involved, but they were not charged due to lack of evidence or have either died since. This case was one that stays with many. My heart goes out to the Lyon family. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts? If you are interested in watching more about the case, I recommend the documentary called Who Killed the Lyon Sisters? If you enjoyed this video, a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. As always, we pray for the families and the victims and that these horrible crimes result in justice for the family and victims. Until next time.